Hello, dear friends. I hope you are doing well. I hope everyone is doing well here. You are welcome to this live session. I think there is a little issue with the image. Tell me if it's clear enough or it needs clarification. It needs, wiping. The lens of the camera needs wiping. Anyway, you are welcome. Thank you have come at once. 13 people are watching me here. I am greeting everyone here, from the first to the last, friend who, to arrive here. We will spend some time perhaps maybe either answering some urgent questions or anyway, the first 5 minutes, just waiting for more people to join us. And then we will start this session, which is going to be dedicated to issues relating to semantics and pragmatics. And of course, this is in an earnest response from a number of students, to the request made by a number of students in this regard. My friends, I do not mean that this is going to be an exhaustive overview for the simple reason that semantics and pragmatics are far broader than than a situation where they can be handled in one session. So this is not in the least an exhaustive session, and therefore I would like to make the point that the whole session is going to be necessarily selective. I mean, the elements to be covered will be selected somehow, and this is exactly why I asked one of the students who contacted me for this to send me a list of questions that the students would like me to elaborate on, and I will structure this presentation with these questions in mind. But before that, if there is any urgent question perhaps that relates probably to other things other than so just 5 minutes and then we will start. What I will suggest is maybe to start with an overview of semantics and pragmatics, the major issues. And of course, I will go to the questions I have received and I will try to answer them as much as I can, of course. Needless to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that on the day of the exam, yes, of course, you need to master the content. You need to know about the concepts you have covered and the relevant examples to substantiate them. But the fact remains that you have to be good enough writers. I stress this fact. Good enough writers means that you write without mistakes relating to grammar or to word choice or just turning around the bush. These are pieces of advice that are general. They are not concerned with semantics and pragmatics or specific courses. These are general, pieces of advice for handling exam questions. Now, if there are direct questions and the professor asks you to answer the question directly, for example, in one line, that's one thing. But if you are asked to write a paragraph or an essay, then, a paragraph or essay means that you have to write something that satisfies the criteria of a good paragraph, or if it's an essay, then you have to satisfy the criteria of a good essay. And of course, this is not difficult in the least for the simple reason that you have covered these things, way back, in your S1, S2, S3, and then S4 as well. You see, so it's weird. Honestly, let me tell you loud and clear, it's weird. It's weird to find a paragraph written by an S6 student full of mistakes. It's not only is it weird, but it's also a shame. And I will not shy away from saying this. But I would like to commend on the so many students, and there are so many, by the way. So let's not paint a black picture. No, there are many students who have this craft of producing, a good writing in general. This is nice. So I wish you all the best for the exams that are coming soon. Psychological preparation is equally important, so no panicking, no burning midnight oils. You need to relax, even physically. You need to take some rest. You see, you are not a machine, my friend. Anyway, good luck to you. I'm sorry I have not named names here because this is the first time my friends here come at once. All right. Uh, but that's fine. Anyway, I'm really sorry, so I could not name names. But thank you very much, my dear friends who have made it, to this live session. Okay. Um, Thank you, Shikhi. Thank you. For example, just a random, comment. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the definition of semantics and what it does and what its place has looked like in linguistics over the course of the history of the science known as linguistics. Anyway, semantics, of course, is the science of that studies meaning, of course, in the broad sense of the term, because meaning can be understood in a number of ways, of course, and because it is a discipline in linguistics, there is a justification for that. What is the justification? The justification is that part of because since linguistics attempts to uncover, to model the knowledge of the native speaker, then it has to model all aspects of this knowledge. So it has to model the way they pronounce, this native speaker pronounces the language. I mean, the way they handle the juxtapositions of sounds, the way they react, the way they have internalized sentence structure, movements, and so forth. But the way they process words semantically. Okay, they study their semantic knowledge, the knowledge of the meaning of their language. For example, a very quick example is when you say something and you mean something different. Okay, this is worth of an investigation. Therefore, semantics undertakes the study of elements like these. Just imagine, so you have the word, the four-footed animal, the animal that is intimate to the human being, the dog. Okay, but there are people who would use the dog to refer to the dog, to mean the dog, but there are people who would use the dog as an insult. So this is worth investigating, of course, because the native speakers know about these relations in an unconscious way. All in all, meaning is a component of semantic knowledge is a component of linguistic knowledge and is therefore ipso facto, and ipso facto is worth investigating. Okay, except that there is this one point that I need to mention before I move along. Over history, since the advent of what is referred to as modern linguistic theory or modern linguistics, semantics, it looks like, and linguists themselves say that, and it is reported, everywhere, that unlike phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics has been overlooked somehow by linguists, especially, with the structuralism, American structuralism, and also early generativism. People were more concentrating on formal aspects of the language to the detriment or at the expense of the semantic aspect, this soft aspect, because it's very evasive, it's very elusive, and it's not captured in concrete terms. It's not substantive. It's not like a morpheme. You have this of the plural. It's there. When you have movement, you have a word that goes. But for meaning, it's somehow abstract. And it's therefore that this is one of the reasons that why it used to be claimed in these models, especially until the mid 60s, perhaps, yes, that meaning is. In fact, there are people who would call meaning as would refer to it as the waste basket of linguistics. Only rarely do people refer to meaning in previous frameworks, and. There were a few attempts. There were two major attempts towards the late 40s, and there were two disciplines that emerged in linguistics. If they had succeeded, you would be prepared for them now for the exam. One of the disciplines is referred to as tagmimics. I don't know if you have heard this before. Tagmimics. Tagmimics was one way of it's one discipline that was concerned with the organization of morphemes and associating them with some in terms of patterns with concepts, something like this. And another discipline called glossemantics, so tagmimics and by Kenneth Pike and Hemslev. These are well-known structuralists. Anyway, I close this bracket now. I don't know. I have been thinking of yes, that's true, Mustafa. Meaning. I was referring to the meaning as was handled in the field of linguistics. Of course, in philosophy, meaning was a fertile area for discussion since antiquity, of course, and there is no denying that fact. Thank you, Mustafa, for pointing that out. Okay, nice. So لنغير عالمنا says talk more about speech acts. I cannot respond to individual questions like that because we will have a jumbled presentation. You see, so it's not. I'm not here to respond to individual questions because I will be missing other things. So in fairness to everyone, let me talk. I will come to those things, please. Okay, fine. Pragmatics, discourse analysis, stylistics. Well, there is a difference, of course, because in pragmatics, is the object of study is the meaning. The object of study in pragmatics is meaning. But what type of meaning? It's the speaker's meaning as it is realized in actual context. So that's one thing. Now, discourse analysis, the object of study in discourse analysis are chunks of language beyond the sentence. Okay, so anything that goes beyond the sentence is discourse. If you have an adjacency pair like A and B, X said something and B responded with something, then of course you have and that is, this is a piece of discourse. If you have a text where you have more than one sentence, that's also a discourse. You see, so within one sentence, that's the syntax. Discourse goes beyond, of course. And of course, we study discourse, it's in fact, discourse analysis is in fact a methodology in data analysis. It's not just, so we do not study just discourse for the sake of uncovering, the structure of language in a communicative event, but also, study discourse to derive maybe the ideological underpinnings of the power relations, etc. Okay. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. Anyway, I would like to sidestep questions asking me because this is going to throw us in different parts at once, and the result will be that some of our friends may not follow the thread directly. Okay. Now, before I will not say anything. I wanted to say something, but I realized that could disrupt the line of our discussions in here. Very good. Nice. So I don't know what to start with, but I think I need to go to the questions that you have here, or maybe I'll start very briefly reviewing the program that you have covered, perhaps. I don't know, but so because this is a very spontaneous session for me, so let me just go and talk about the dimensions of meaning. Okay, dimensions of meaning. Of course, we have the notion of a linguistic expression. First, let's define these terms. What is a linguistic expression? A linguistic expression is every unit in a language that can mean something. It's a linguistic expression. Is a sentence a linguistic expression? Yes, it is. Is an idiomatic expression a linguistic expression? Yes, it is. Is a single word a linguistic expression? Yes, it is. So as long as we are producing a piece of language to mean something, that piece of language is referred to as a linguistic expression. Okay, of course, we have morphemes. The notion of a morpheme, that's linguistic. So we will go directly, to the other elements. Now, I would like to explain the difference between three terms here. Three terms that are worthy of discussion, okay? So we would like to refer to, here we will discuss terms like, or the terms reference, connotation, and denotation, or reference, denotation, and connotation. What is the difference between the three? So a reference is generally or refers to the relation between a language expression, like, for example, this door, this book, and whatever expression, okay, refers to in a particular situation in languages. So I'm reading out a definition actually. So I have it here. Reference is the relation between a language expression such as this door, both doors, the dog, another dog, etc., and whatever the expression refers to in a particular situation or of languages. What does this mean? This means that reference, the term reference, refers to the target, not to the source. Okay, look at this. Just imagine, so this pen is further than that pen. Imagine that there are 2 kilometers between them. Oh, not 2, maybe 10 meters between them. So I can say, okay, here, this pen, that pen, this pen, that pen. Okay, how many references do I have here? Okay, so I have 1 and 2 references. Why? Because the reference is necessarily the target. It's also referred to as the denotatum. It means the what is denoted and what is referred to. Okay, nice. So that's the notion of reference, and we will keep this in mind because we have to talk about sense and reference later. Okay, and now for denotation, that's something different. Is denotation necessarily reference? No. Denotation is what we have in mind, is what we commonly agree on. Everyone, for example, when you hear the word bottle, everyone will think of this shape and probably a liquid inside, etc. You see, a bottle represents this. This bottle represents this specific, object that I am holding in my hand. So when you say boy, for example, the denotation is a male, a human being of a certain age, etc. So that's the denotative meaning, and it's usually a point of agreement among members of a community. Now, apart from denotation, we have connotation. That's true, Intisar. Yeah, that's the basic meaning, the meaning that is common. Denotation becomes connotation when emotions or attitudes are assigned to them. Okay? So a denotation becomes a connotation when you put some sort of emotions, some sort of attitude, some sort of judgment. You see? Some feelings. Yes, that's true. Okay? You see? Sometimes you have a word, I don't know, the poetic words when you tell someone that when you talk about the moon, for example, everyone knows what the moon is, yes or no? Okay, so the moon, we know that the moon, a full moon, let's say a full moon, okay, we know that it's of a particular shape, and it's luminescent, and it's and it's beautiful anyway. But when you say moon in one context, for example, if you want to to highlight the beautiful aura of someone, the beautiful aspect of a person, you can refer to him or to her as a moon. So here moon has been used, okay, connotatively, you see, because the moon has been used connotatively because we have attached some emotions, some feelings, some etc. In curses, when you curse someone, you can use a word that is denotatively, it's common to everyone, but you are attaching some emotions to it and you are giving it another meaning. That's the connotative rather than the denotative meaning. The last just happened to follow on Mustafa's comment here. If you hate someone, tell them you are the Monday of your life, of my life. Monday being a day that is not really appreciated by someone who wakes up, early to go to the office. Okay. Badruddin says, Tahiyati si Badruddin. Tahiyati everyone here. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just occasionally and erratically I go to the comments and come back. So I have a question, Professor. How can people from different cultural backgrounds understand each other's connotations? Is it possible? Not necessarily. There might be some overlaps. You see, among people in the world, there are some overlaps. I think the word dog is an insult in different cultures, but not the donkey. You see, the dog, for example, in France, think of quelqu'un qui a un chien. Il y a même le verbe chier. Je pense que ça vient du chien. Okay, a dog. You have a dog, a watchdog, and I don't know. You have these words, dog, etc. Lion may be associated with the power, but not. Think of a donkey, for example. Think of a donkey, and maybe there are chances for the Eskimos, for example, to have insults by using animals that we don't even know. And it's not just animals. I'm just sticking to this, but this is not universal, of course. What is universal? Look at this, Badruddin. What is universal is not a commonality that we have with respect to a common way, a common connotation. Like, for example, dog referring to someone who is bad, etc. No. But what is universal among humans is the fact that apart from this meaning, this initial, the denotative aspect of meaning, there is also the connotative aspect of it. But how it is realized? It's realized in different ways. Different people, different cultures select different objects to use connotatively, and there is an agreement among them in that regard. Okay. So I think I will have to move to this. I have notes here. I'm sorry. Now, I would like to point to an issue here. There is an issue, my friends. Those who ask questions here, I have them here, the ones that you sent with them. Yeah, I have them here. I will answer them later. So no worries, I'll answer all your questions, please. Well, it's not likely. It's not likely, Mr. Badruddin. Beyond overlapping, there is this overlap. Yes, we overlap, yes. But we have to distinguish between the universality of the categories that we have, the connotative, denotative, and the choice of maybe using a bottle to refer to something negative or to show a good attitude or a bad attitude. There might be a culture that uses bottle or water or whatever, you see. Okay, and this is reflected, of course, in idiomatic expressions, of course. And needless to point out, Sibadr, that different cultures, you have the famous Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, that was fleshed out by Benjamin Lee Whorf and Edward Sapir, and this was supplemented by Ludwig Wittgenstein. The basic question was whether it is culture that influences language, or is it language that influences our thought? Our culture is thought/culture. So here, there has been this debate, and there is a weak version to the theory and a strong version, and there are ramifications to the debate, of course. Now, let's close this and open up for a distinction, or a distinction between, of course, two types of theories of meaning. The basic question is connotation culture bound? I wouldn't say it's language bound, actually. Culture, I can tell. And culture, is it a microculture or is it the culture? Are we talking about the Moroccan culture or maybe a culture in a specific region? Or, you see, So here, connotation, but what connotation is a commonality. You see, is common to everyone. So when you say a dog in Morocco, you say it in Darija, everyone will understand that you are talking about a full four-footed animal that barks and whose name, whose name, the dog gives us the adjective. What is the adjective from dog? It's canine. And canine gave us the word for these types of these two front teeth, the canine. Canine comes from dog. That's why you have caniche as well. But anyway, these are just But for the connotation, most Moroccans would get angry if you show some anger to them, using referring to them as dog, for example. Everyone would find this inappropriate and find it an insult, of course. Everyone would understand this as an insult. Donkey, if you bring an American and a Moroccan, maybe the effect may not be the same. Okay, nice. Fine, let me just move on, please, to the question as to how languages or how words are assigned meaning. How do we assign meaning to words? Here we have to distinguish between two types of theories. Here we have two types of theories that we need to bring into focus. And I'm mentioning them very briefly because we cannot finish everything, my dear friends. There is what we refer to as the referential theory of meaning. Referential theory of meaning. Referential comes from reference. Okay? It's the belief, so referential theory of meaning, the belief that between the linguistic expression and the referent, this can be everything except referent. Okay. And the referent, okay. Referent is direct, so the reference, let's say reference, that is the target. So according to this view of the direct relation between a linguistic expression and a referent or a referent, we have what? It's something like this. I say bottle, and bottle linearly refers to this object. So this is the theory. As long as you say something, it has a correspondent in the outside world. So much so that when you say a wall, you can point to the wall. When you talk about acting, you can see and experience the activities, okay, activity of walking, of course. And you say beautiful, for example, you can see certain aspects, you can experience them, you can, that's true. The referential theory of meaning assumes two things, at least, two things. It assumes that there is this underlying assumption that whatever linguistic expression we use, it must refer to something in the outside world. After all, language is created for this end, to refer. You see, so the assumption underlying the referential theory of meaning is that whatever we say needs to correspond to something in the outside world. Okay? Assumption number two, the reality is fixed. And I think this is more important than the first. The reality, the objects in the outside are fixed. The reference is something that is fixed. Okay? So this theory, okay, falls short of, solid arguments for the simple reason that, of course, between a linguistic expression, let's say A, to the reference, so here linguistic expression and reference, the association may work for some words, Um, see, goat mindset. Wacha. This is good. This is good. If I wish my friends who asked me to hold this live session on semantics and pragmatics, I would have liked to receive, you see, requests for specific topics, and we can have a series of, we may hold a series of live sessions in that regard. I have no problem with this. You may have realized that in hello everyone, سي سعيد hello وغادي يسمحوا لي وقيله أستاذة سامية كاينة معنا هنايا. Je suis vraiment désolé, c'est Mustafa, Nathalie, je vous ai pas mentionné. بالحق, you know, it's implied. Thank you so much. Thank you, because I just wanted to start early enough, because our friends here are you know, constrained by time. I know what it takes, you know, to prepare for an exam. It's a lot of time, a lot of pressure, so it doesn't make any sense to spend some time, you know, maybe it's like, quote unquote, that's the perception of my friends, I'm sure, it's like wasting time. So no problem. Thank you, Sisaid. All right, okay, so you can, I just open this bracket and close it. If you would like me to address a specific topic, then of course let this session be a general session, and inbox, you know, inbox. I react to the ones who I find, you know, for example, this one has been a serious, you see, a serious request, because I can see that in the number of people following us. So if you would like me to address different issues over the course of a few days, I can do that, no problem. Not only that, but I am also able to handle 2 live sessions if we can shorten them. So instead of having 2 hours, I can have 1 live session for morphology and for those things, and I can come to 1 topic in semantics. No problem with that. So you sort it out and you let me know. Sort it out, let me know. All right. But for the present session anyway, I will not be here for long myself, because I have a lot of things to prepare. A lot of presentations are waiting for me. A lot of doctoral theses are waiting for me. Une habilitation, etc. And I have other things to do at the faculty for doctoral, you know, doctoral program and so forth. I'm really sorry. Fine. So I leave it to you. You did, Intisar, and I will answer those questions here if you want. Yeah, I will answer those questions. But anyway, we cannot cover everything here. Thank you, Sisaid. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. You see, I have no reservation in regard to that. Never mind, my dear friends. Let me finish this point first. So we move back. We can move back to the syntax in 1 session, and then we can hold another. I will sort it out myself. Okay. I will not forsake you. Okay. So here, the referential theory of meaning assumes 2 things. It assumes that whatever we say corresponds to something in the outside world. That's number 1. And number 2, reality is fixed. Reality is fixed. It means what? It means once you refer to this using a word, you will always refer to that using that word. And when you use a word to refer to this, then of course, whenever you mention the word, it has to be this. So that's not a good assumption. Of course, it's not a sound assumption. This theory runs up against a number of difficulties. For example, in a framework that assumes that whatever we say has to have a reference in the outside world, the problem arises when, for example, we consider abstract nouns. What does the word aspect mean? You see, that's number 1. Aspect. And for example, interest. What is interest? Does it refer to anything? Okay, that's number 1. Abstract nouns. Number 2, there are some grammatical words. You see, there are not all linguistic expressions are lexical. So we already have a problem with lexical items that cannot have a reference. What can we say of terms like, of words like functional categories, as Nunu says? And as Al-Anzawi Abd-Ilah says, that's true. What is should? What does it? Does it refer to anything? Walking can refer to the act of walking. A man can refer to a man. You can observe, you can see, etc. But that's meta language, of course. CRDB, that's meta language, but that's more of a grammar. It has it has a grammatical meaning rather than a semantic meaning, and that is a meta language. I agree with you. Meta language referring to it meaning language about language. So we cannot. What is the in the boy? The means what? Does not mean anything. It just has a functional meaning. So where is the reference here? does not correspond to the entity. لا for free هادشي كلشي for free. I will not say pay or no. شوف انا كنقول هذا اللي بغى الفلوس يمشي للبريفي. Moving from one private school to another, you will get money. First of all. You see, and I guess this is part of my mission, and I do it. I'm very happy doing this, and some people like it. The majority, fortunately, the ones who meet me, but some didn't like it. For what reason? God knows why. But anyway, sorry. Okay. Mustafa, on another occasion, that's true. On another occasion, inshallah, I will do that. All right. Fine. Sifitri Hassan, you are with us here. Thank you for making it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Okay, good. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you so much. All right. So we are talking here about the referential theory of meaning and the fact that it's not capable of accounting for a number of, cases of the so-called reference. The existence of abstract concepts make it difficult for this relation to occur. Number two, the existence of grammatical expressions, functional categories, for example, like it's not the meta language of noun. No. It's just these are the functional items. I mean, these are items like which. What is which? What is that? Etc. Thank you. So there is this. There is also a situation where we can have. Let me tell you. For example, when I talk about the bottle, I need your attention here, and you can use this as an example. You have a bottle here. You have a bottle here. When you say it is mine, it is mine. It here refers to the bottle. So here, this can be predicted here. How about another use of it, like it is impossible that I come online today. It is impossible. It is likely that it will rain. This it, which in syntax we refer to as a pleonastic pronoun, it's there only for syntactic reasons. Does it have any meaning? It does not. It's devoid of meaning somehow because it does not have a referent in the outside world. So this is called the pleonastic pronoun. That's true. That's true. So yeah, Shikhi, we talked about abstract expressions. We talked about some grammatical items, and we talked about these pleonasms. And there, for example, I will be there. There is the place, you can see it. So it can be predicted. But there are two people who belong to, I don't know. You see? So you can falsify this. Yeah, that's true. That's true beyond the book. Thank you. That's the dummy pronoun. It's referred to as the dummy pronoun as well. Thank you. So here, this is one of the shortcomings of this theory, referred to as the referential theory of meanings. Of course, there were other alternatives that try to explain the relationship. Notice that we're talking about the relationship between the linguistic expression and the referent. So this one here is a one-to-one association. It's a no-no. Why? Because there are a number of counter examples. Another attempt was made by a number of semanticists to say that when I say bottle, what I actually have is a mental image of that bottle. Murad Shikhi, you can add that. I forgot it. Thank you. So before I come this, a third argument against this theory, and I would like to thank Simurad here, is the fact that there are words that we use in reality that do not exist, neither grammatical nor abstract nor anything. The so-called Arabic word bu'u, to frighten the kids who do not want to go to bed. You see? For example, but it's by the way, it's not a good way of the unicorn, etc. So we don't have to do it like this, but that does not refer to anything. You see? Okay, Said, I don't know this Bukhensha here. Maybe this differs as we move from one city to another, perhaps. Okay, so there was this attempt. I don't know, Natalie, really. Anyway, so there was this attempt to try to explain this relation, and there were, as I said, one of the attempts tried to make the point that a linguistic expression, before it corresponds to this, okay, before it refers, first it has to, okay, to be represented mentally. So we are referring here to a mental image in order to form a concept. You see, concepts like happiness, justice, these cannot be. That's true. Shihemor, this because so many questions. I know, because pragmatics, semantics, and pragmatics are not dry. There are a lot of issues, a lot of questions. We cannot, with 40 minutes, 42 minutes have already elapsed, and I would have liked to receive, questions on one topic. It will be good. So this is what we can do in the next meetings if you want, without any problem. So here, linguistic expression corresponding to mental representation. It means what? So again, I will mention here a number of theories before I move to Frege's sense and reference theory. But before that, I would like to point to some of the, attempts to mediate the relationship between linguistic expressions and the referent, or the denotatum. So here we refer to the concept of mental image according to this model, called mental image model. What we do is by hearing a linguistic expression, we form a mental image of it. And this is true to a large extent, because when I say book, when you hear book, you form a mental image of this book. Okay? So the concept of book is represented somehow in a similar way in our case, those who know what the word book means. Yeah, of course, this started even with Saussurean, notion of the signifier and signified. Now, when I say cup, different people will imagine different cups, different colors, that's for sure. But certainly, the cup will be imagined as something that contains a liquid, usually a warm liquid. Okay, nice. So this theory of mental representation or mental image, it's successful to some extent. But again, this undergoes the same fate as the referential theory of meaning. Even if you are saying, well, there is no direct reference, this somehow mediated by the formation of a concept. What's the nature of the concept? It's the mental image. So here we are talking about the mediation. Mediation means that there is a component that comes in between. So here the concept, we're talking about concept formation. Not really, no, Sheikh Murad, no, that's not. Mentalism is more, in syntax, and in, mentalism refers more to generativism in a sense. Okay, but anyway, this is somehow the framework is somehow different. Anyway, so we are talking about mental image as a way of forming a concept, the concept of a bottle, for example, here. So before bottle refers to this here, to this entity here, First, we have to represent it in our mind in some shape, in some form. Nice. Again, there is this problem. What about things that, how do we agree that aspect, for example, how can I make sure that aspect is represented in my mind the way it is represented in yours? You cannot. So mental images somehow are not trustworthy in a sense. Why? Because while these can be somehow the same for people, for some concepts, for other concepts they can be totally, sometimes they can be different. I tried this with my students. I don't know whether it was this with my students this year or last year, and I asked them to draw a car. I asked them to draw a tree. I don't know, and I found out that, of course, they agree with certain, main features of the tree, but with some other words, with some other concepts, no. Different people drew different things. Okay, which means that mental image is not enough of an analytical tool, an explanatory tool to show how concepts are formed. Okay. So this is on the one hand, and this was changed by another mental or another theory of concept formation called what? Called the necessary and sufficient conditions. The necessary and sufficient conditions model. Okay, let me say something about it. The necessary and sufficient conditions. The necessary and sufficient conditions. Life is too short to write necessary and sufficient conditions here. So let me say it, you know what I'm talking about. The necessary and sufficient conditions means what? Means that a concept, let's say, let me give you the example of a woman. Let's say that's the one I gave in my class. So a woman. Okay, how many adjectives can we, or not just adjectives, how many labels can we produce to faithfully, describe a woman? Not describe, but to refer to produce a word that refers to the woman, or to make someone understand that a woman is a woman. A woman is the object, the human being I'm referring to. So we can say that a woman is what? Is a human. Okay, is a human. Okay. A woman is animate. Well, because animate, I should write it here. I think just to illustrate this piece. So you have animate, a human, female. Are these enough? Are these enough? Okay. Yeah, Safa, I'll come to that. We are talking about these. These are the pitfalls. Just wait. Okay, so animate, a human, female. With animate, we have excluded non-moving objects. A woman necessarily moves. Here we have excluded non-human living entities. Okay? Female, we have excluded male. Are we done or not yet? Not yet. Okay? Because these can represent also a baby, a female baby. So what you probably you say is adult. Plus adult. Thank you. Morshid says beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Can I add mature here by virtue of her being an adult? Not necessarily. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Ability to give birth, if she is physically, physiologically apt, ability to give birth, I can, can give birth. Subhanallah, Lamia, Ustad Lamia Barhu, is using the same example. Can give birth. Yeah. Is it true or not? A woman can possibly give birth. Yes, of course. But do I need that to describe a woman? Yes. Am I repeating myself here? Yes. Because for the description of a woman, all I need are these necessary features, necessary and sufficient. Necessary and sufficient. Necessary and sufficient conditions. It means what? It means that our concepts are formed by means of a number of conditions that are necessary. First, they have to be necessary and they have to be sufficient. Why do we have necessary and sufficient? Because the conditions can be, you can go up to 100 attributes for something. But in order to account maybe for the rapidity of processing, etc., it's good. I think it was one of the most intelligent theories is this. This reminds us of distinctive features that are bundle of features. That's true. In phonology, we have you can't say minus continuant. Okay, you cannot say minus continuant. Minus continuant minus delayed release to describe a stop. Okay, and what else? And maybe you can add the feature p, for example, in English. Minus continuant minus delayed release. You cannot say, for example, plus back, for example. No. Minus delayed release in English, that refers to fricatives. إذا قلت لك minus delayed release, it means I'm talking about affricative. Do I need minus continuant here? No. And then one point, you see? Once you say minus delayed release, it means it's minus continuant, of course. Okay, never mind. So here we have necessary and sufficient conditions. Now let's just let's try to work out these necessary and sufficient conditions for cat. Okay, let's talk about cat. Of course, it's animate. It's minus human. Okay, you can refer to the tail. You can refer to maybe to a pet at home that you keep at home. Live in, of course. Yes. You can also refer to the way they are purring. The verb to purr, it purrs. To purr. I think purr is purring. Let's say purring. Or meowing. You see? So you can have these. But you can also have, okay, now if I have these necessary conditions, I would love you to look at these. We have a cat in mind. So animate, it's fine. Minus a human, non-human, it's fine. Pet, it's fine. Purring, it's fine. The very moment you say it's a pet and it's purring, you cannot talk about a turtle, you cannot talk about a dog, you cannot talk about a snake. You talk about a cat because it's the one that purrs. Do I need to refer to the tail here? No. I understand these without referring to the tail. So this is what the necessary and sufficient conditions means. What's the problem with this framework? Sometimes there are some concepts okay, look at these necessary and sufficient conditions for this and for this. Okay, this and this. This and this. Remember, follow me, please. How sure am I how sure are we that these necessary and sufficient conditions in my mind and in your mind, because we have worked on it together, will be the same necessary and sufficient conditions in another group where they study semantics and pragmatics? You see? أهلا إيمان بريكي, how are you? Okay, you فهمت? Okay, so here it's one of the pitfalls. Okay, one of the pitfalls of this. Sometimes it can work for people maybe within the same community, and you're talking about something that is usual, and we may have roughly the same features, but sometimes there are some, especially when you have two types of birds, for example, that look differently. What am I saying? They are roughly the same. There is a little difference. Let me give you an example of an animal this time. An alligator and a crocodile. Yeah, there is variation in mental representation, Lamia. Thank you. That's true. That's true. Okay. So it will be difficult for concepts, for elements that are for concepts that are so close. You see, while you can distinguish a car from a bike, it would be hard to distinguish a crocodile from an alligator. Not the same, of course. So this theory was abandoned in favor of a prototype theory, or the prototype theory. Prototype theory means that, okay, but again, this one here is also not really, and this is what justified, Frege's alternative, who talked about the theory of sense and reference, and we are going to address it in a moment. Okay. العقب والنسر, pigeon and dove, not the same. Thank you. So this is one of the shortcomings. I'm so sorry. Okay. So there is this other theory, another model for the representational, for the representational models of the relation between sense and reference. This is known as prototype theory. Prototype theory. According to this model, this prototype theory, that's true. Let me read your definition. Okay. Prototypes represent the central or typical members of a category. That's true. We know that sometimes we're talking about, we have objects that are grouped into categories. That's usual for a human being. Okay? Because language has this principle of economy. You cannot say this is, you just group them under one word and that's it. A very good example are the furnitures or furniture, a piece of furniture. The home furniture, what is the home furniture? Okay, it's what? It's the sofa, the chair, the table is a furniture, and you name it. Okay? But of course, when you talk about furniture, what comes to your mind? Let's have a list here. So table. هاجوج ديال الطبالي. زيد. Table, chair, sofa, couch. Yeah, I tried it with my students, and the table, of course, came first. You see, tabla. Table, chair. That's true. Armchair, stool. These are the same variants, of course. Yeah, that's true. Curtains. Okay, coffee table. It's still a table. Then that's nice. Stool. Look, so you are oscillating between table and a variant of a chair. So chair, table. So this is exactly what represents. But there are other pieces of furniture that are so maybe it's not rare, but they are not typical of furniture. When we talk about furniture, it's exactly that. Mirror. Nobody has talked about mirror, for example. Bed. That's true. Okay, nice. When you talk about kitchen utensils, by the way, Carpet, carpet, dresser. Yeah, these are rarely mentioned. It's still table and chair that have one. So especially table. Table has been the leader here. So it's the table here is the center of the category. Whenever you hear furniture, you think of table. So table here is the prototype of the whole furniture, the whole group called furniture. And of course, when you're talking about kitchen utensils, my friends, شوفوا لي هاد النويطه هذه عافاكم. المواعن, les ustensiles de cuisine, en anglais, it's not utensils, it's just utensils. Kitchen utensils. ها كيفاش utensils. Okay, so here utensils include what? Include cutlery. Yeah, a fork, teapot. Yeah, but means look at the Moroccan culture here. Teapot. Okay, utensils. That's true, Natalie. So appliances, they are appliances. Shikhi, appliances is the ones that use electricity specifically. Okay, so knife, fork, place, spork. Okay, spoon. Yeah, it's knife, spoon, but nobody has talked about the vacuum flask. Nobody has cooker. Yeah, the cooker also is a kitchen utensil. But kitchen is no, it's not a utensil cooker. It's a ladle. Natalie says ladle. Fridge, is it a utensil? Fridge? لا لا ماشي مواعن. اسمح لي كما كتغسلوا الثلاجه مع الكيسان. Dishes, that's true. Okay, plate, a cup, a glass, etc. But you cannot, not kitchen and not fridge and yeah. What's that? Yeah, those are the cups that Nuni has sent. Anyway, pillar, etc. Anyway, just to get out of this, so the prototype theory also runs up against a number of problems. It's just like what we did here. Here we said that we do not necessarily have the same necessary and sufficient conditions. Here again, what can be a typical, just imagine, someone who has been reared in a place where they eat the main dish is tagine, for example, that they eat à la Marocaine. You have people around the table, having portions of bread and using it to to hold whatever there is to eat. And just imagine there is another person who was reared in a specific area and who has not been used to the eating of tagine, except on rare occasions, for example. So for him, tagine is secondary. Other types of dishes are, primary, and vice versa for the other friend. Do you think that these will have the same centrality? The tagine, for example, have the same centrality for both? One of them is likely to prioritize the fork, but the other one is likely to prioritize the knife, for instance. Okay, yeah. Now the desk knob. The desk and all the things that we use, the sharpener, the eraser, all the ones, the type of tools that we use to write, these are not called utensils. These are called stationery, like this. Stationery. Very good, Reem. Very good. Thank you. All right. Anyway, these theories, thank you, Samia, that's true. These theories have failed on the grounds that there are differences are likely to arise as we move from one group of people to another, so they cannot really account for the formation. It's not accurate, in other words. You see, concepts will inaccurately be represented if we take the model of necessary and sufficient conditions, and before the mental image, and of course prototype theories. These have some strength, and they have succeeded. They have succeeded in breaking away with the theory that there is a direct relation between the linguistic expression and reference. The referential theory of meaning, they have succeeded in calling it into question. But are they solid models? No, they are not solid models. Why? Because they themselves admit of counterexamples of problems. But these models were subsumed in one theory by the famous Frege, okay, or Frege, that's the German pronunciation of it. He published this famous book called Der Sinn und der Bedeutung. Bedeutung means meaning. The Sinn means sentences. Sentences and meaning. Yeah. أهلا Kamal's artistic channel. أهلا. Okay. So here we will move to the discussion of Frege's alternative, according to which, okay, we have the linguistic expression, that's true. We have reference, that's true. And we have something that mediates these, it's referred to as sense. Remember, please, that reference is always the target. It's the object that is referred to. It's the target of uttering, that linguistic expression. So the reference, according to Frege, has to be filtered through sense. It means that there is, sense is a mental representation. In fact, this sense here is more general than the other models that we have seen. So we just talk about sense. Sense is the meaning. It refers to the meaning that we all share. Okay, that we all share. That's a sense. Okay, let me just talk about that. Yeah, reference is the denotatum. It's the object of reference, or the referent, and this sense mediates the two. So before a linguistic expression refers, before that it becomes sense first. It goes through sense, and sense gives us a variety of possibilities. It's thanks to sense that we select the object referred to. Why? It's because there are senses that mean different references. Which one? So sense will determine. So let me just reproduce the example produced by our friend. It's not our friend. By the linguist, the semanticist Frege. Okay. So do you know that when you look at the moon, especially over the last months, the recent months, there was this alignment, this famous, cosmic alignment. You have Uranus, Venus, and Plato, and Pluto is Plato, and then you have others, the moon, and then Mars as well. الكواكب. كان واحد l'alignement مؤخرا. Okay, yeah. So here, that's true. Yeah, Rim, that's exactly what I'm saying. There was this star. If you look at the moon, you look at a very bright star. It's in fact usually the first star that you see after sunset. Okay. لنغير عالمنا إن شاء الله. I'll answer that question later, please. Okay. So here we have the star that you see in the evening when you get out of the house for a walk. You see the moon and you marvel at it, and next to it there is a star. That bright star is called the evening star. The evening star. Okay? And when you wake up in the morning, this is the last star to leave the sky or to disappear. And this is usually referred to, if you are early birds, it's called the morning star. Okay? Actually, the evening star and the morning star, the evening star and the morning star, in reality, these two refer just to one entity. It's just one. It's this, okay, star here, known as Venus. So this is this, and this is this. It just happens that when it appears in the evening, people call it the evening star. And when it appears in the morning, people call it the morning star. But the object is the same. Okay? So this example gives rationale for the component of sense as coming between the linguistic expression and the reference. Okay, so you have the evening star. Its sense is a star that appears in the evening. That's the sense. Okay? A history book is a book where there's a history. That's the thing. Yeah, rationale means justification, Karim. Yes, Kemal's artistic. That's true. Rationale means justification. So I repeat the idea. The evening star is the sense. Why sense? Because if you tell anyone whether he knows about cosmology or not, what is an evening star, he's likely to tell you that it's a star that you see in the evening. What's a history book? It's a book that tells you about history. What's a mathematics teacher? A mathematics teacher is someone who teaches mathematics. Okay? A morning star, on the other hand, so we have sense number one. It's this. And this one is sense number two. Okay? The morning star is a star that appears in the morning. But in reality, two senses here, having one reference. Two senses having one reference. It means that a linguistic expression, the evening star, okay, has to be, has to travel through this sense component before it refers. So this one is a mediator between these two components. Now, the current president of the United States and Donald Trump, the same reference, but different senses. Yes or no? You see, can we analyze some utterances in semantic? Yeah, but maybe in another. I am already late. I apologize, but I think one of our friends here made a very good remark that I had in mind myself. أنا مستعد ندير معكم بزاف ديال لي سيونس ماشي غير وحده في Semantics and Pragmatics, but I need you to select a theme so that before the exam we can exhaust everything. Okay, so if I don't know if Mrs. Barho is with us here, ask your friends to select a theme on which we are going to talk. Okay, on which we are going to discuss in our next. You see, in our next meeting. But this is just a rough introduction. I know that it's not enough, and I know that I have not said much, and I know that I have said things that you already know. These are evident because there are harder questions, some of which were asked here. Okay. Do you want me to go directly to answer these questions now, or leave them until tomorrow? I have the questions here. Okay, my friends, type 1 if you would like me to answer the questions now. Type 2 if you would like me to defer them until tomorrow. Yeah. 2 until tomorrow. 1 2 2 2 2 كل شيء يبغى 2 يلا. I have the following questions. كل شيء 2. That's true. أهلا أستاذ أحدية, you are with us here. Thank you for joining. Okay, لم يبلغوا أنيس, but tomorrow morphology. شوف, we will sort it out. We will sort it out, Sumaya. I'll sort it out. I can have a condensed first hour here and another hour here. ما عنديش مشكل. إن شاء الله. دوس, Mr. كمال. Alors. المهم, هل الكيستيون اللي عندي هنا يعفكم? These are the questions that I have here. And Mrs. Barho collected them from students. Okay, let me do that very rapidly. And in case there is something you don't understand, we can embark on it tomorrow. Yeah, I can do that. I think we can go for 2 live sessions. مثلا, je vais bloquer 2 heures and we will be very strict. نجي نبدا. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord? نجي نبدا pour يعني comme ça, we will have semantics, syntax, morphology, and everything. Okay, thank you, Shikimura. Thank you. Yeah, it will be recorded afterwards. That's true. Yeah, after some clipping, because the unnecessary introduction will just add. We will just add the. Soumia is addressing me in French. Nous sommes d'accord. وهي اللي كتبت لي غوب داك النهار جي اش او بي. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Professor. غير قولوا لي نونس, I think you are more concerned. Do you want us to answer the questions now, but in a condensed and a rapid way, or would you like us? So I will trust, because it's your group, Nunus and Braho. I don't know whether she is with us or she has left. Since I have 46 people, it means that there is some interest in this. Okay, question number 1. Would you okay, look at this. What are the arguments for the referential and representational theories of meaning? The argument for the referential theory of meaning is that they have no argument. That's why they were easily lost in favor of the representational theories of meaning, because they, in referential theory of meaning, they see this one-to-one correspondence between a given linguistic expression and the so-called referent. So it's not really, it was more of claims than any solid arguments in there. The argument being that when you say bottle, there is a bottle in the outside world. That's it. But the representational theories of meaning, of course, they gave counter arguments. They are built on the counter arguments that they have advanced against the referential theory of meaning. And there was this talk about the mental representation or mental image and the formation of concept in the form of using the model of necessary and sufficient condition and prototype theory, both of course showing some strength, showing some plausibility, but both also showing that they have pitfalls. Okay, so the theory of sense of reference is one that has shown to be the most solid, in the sense that there is this categorical claim that that a linguistics expression has to be looked at from a sense perspective, okay, is processed in a sense perspective. There is sense, of course. A word has a sense before it has reference. Words are no longer two-party. They are not two-partite, or they are tripartite. The linguistic expression, sense and reference. Traditionally, it was linguistic expression and reference. Here now we have three components. So Frege added this third component in order to better account for situations like these, because the argument is that there are many linguistic expressions that can have multiple referents, and sometimes we have one referent that can be referred to by using multiple expressions. So this is solved by the positing of a sense component. All right. So let me move on to this second question. Second question. Yes. What is the difference? So since I talked about it, what is the difference? Very briefly, I'm asked about the difference between entailment and presupposition. Let me answer briefly, because there are details relating to the truth tables, which we are going to consider in one of our lives, if there is need, of course, for this. Now, let me tell you briefly, just to live up to my word, because I asked for this set of questions that I have to answer very briefly. No, the necessary and sufficient conditions are referred to as, they are part of the representational, not the referential theory of meaning. All these are representational, because it's representational means how meaning is represented in the mind. So necessary and sufficient conditions refers to how a concept is formed. So it's the representational rather than the referential, because this happens in the mind. So how it is represented in the mind. Okay, so let me talk to you briefly about the difference between presupposition and entailment. Okay. If I tell you that so and so, okay, so and so holds a master's degree. So and so, by the way, flan bin flan in English, it's so and so. Okay, nice. So and so holds a master's degree in English. You see, holds a master's degree in English. So the second sentence is so and so is educated, or has been at school, or was at school at least once, let's say. You can't have a master's degree in English without being at school. You see, so we say that the first sentence entails the second sentence. So here entails means it logically implies the second one. That's entailment. Another example would be it's a bad example relating to murder, but you say that I'm so sorry. Okay, Mrs. Lemia, thank you. All right. So the second sentence, for example, or the second example of entailment, these are just spontaneous. I don't prepare for these lives. That's very spontaneous. So excuse the spontaneity here. Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay. When I say, for example, that no, but this can confuse with presupposition. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I just want to use, because this is a live, and I don't want to use the word, that you have implying someone is dead. That's not okay. But let's use it for pedagogical reasons anyway. Do you know the word succumb, succomber in French? Do you know the word succumb? succumb to an accident, for example. He succumbed to the accident means after the accident he died. He succumbed. Succumb is obey. That's true. That's true. To succumb is to obey. But it can be used also in certain contexts to say he succumbed to the disease. He succumbed. This is also in French. So you got to check this. You see. But anyway, I just want to lost their life. Okay, let's say three. Okay, John, or let's say John lost his life in an accident. John died in an accident. John died in an accident. Is John alive now? No. The very moment you say died in an accident, it means that died is a past event because you have the ed, because you have conjugated the verb in the simple past. It means now John no longer lives. So John is or died in the accident. John entails that John is no longer alive. So the relationship between John died in the accident and John is not alive are relationships of entailments. He got the worst grade. He got the worst grade on that exam. Okay? Logically, this means that the grade on that exam was not satisfactory. So you cannot have something like he got the worst or the lowest grade in the exam and this grade can be satisfactory. Okay, so these are examples of entailment. Okay, it's not necessarily causal, but it means it's logically implied without saying it. It's logically implied. When you say to someone that you are single, it means that you are unmarried. You are single means you are automatically unmarried. You can't be single and married at the same time. Logically, you cannot put and between the two. You will, if you group them by and, you will have a contradiction later on. You cannot say, he died in the accident yesterday and he is alive today. Can you? You cannot have that. You cannot say he is single but he is married, or he is single and he is married. It's impossible. The grade he got on the grammar exam yesterday was not good at all, and it was a satisfactory grade. You cannot. Okay, so you know that Ali, look at this. See Yasin, look at this. Yasin is giving us this example. Ali has 3 dogs. Entails, ماشي details, entails that Ali has 3 animals. That's true. I will come to you. I will come to your defense on the train means I am using a means of transportation. So implies or entails that I'm using a means of transportation to come. So this is entailment, are logical, you see, inferences that we draw from the sentence. Ahmed is a bachelor. Yasin says Ahmed is a bachelor entails that Ahmed is unmarried. Ahmed is a father implies that he has at least 1 child. Entails that he has 1 child at least. You see? So this is the idea. And students usually confuse. Yeah, أنا ما بغيتش ندخل في هادشي ديال truth table because this is going to. I would love to reserve an independent session for it. The session will be just amazing, inshallah. Okay, but it's my habit not. I don't have this capacity of cramming information just like that. I always take my time to introduce examples, sometimes open brackets to the left, to the right, and my students know this. Okay, but coming and stuffing the information, I don't really feel comfortable doing that, and I always feel awkward, of course. Yeah, pregnant means expecting, that's true, etc. So you have this. Now, for presupposition, the story is different. In presupposition, look, ladies and gentlemen, in presupposition, باش تعرفوها rapidement, it's very easy. الناس اللي سولوني هنايا. Presupposition can be inferred from the first sentence that the speaker tells you. Example: my elder brother has bought a new car, or has got a new car. I repeat, my elder brother has got a new car. So what does the speaker want to inform you of or about? The speaker wants to inform me about the fact that there is a car in the family, that someone has got a car. You see? He assumes that you know that he has an elder brother. I repeat, my brother has bought a new car. Here I am informing you that someone in the family has brought a new car, and I assume, that is to say, I presuppose, the presupposition, because when we utter a sentence, we presuppose that you know part of it. هذه زوينة. Look, listen. When you produce a presupposition, you assume or you presuppose that the speaker knows at least part of it. When I want to tell you that my elder brother has bought a car, I presuppose that you know that I have an elder brother. كيفاش نفرقها مع الانتايلمنت؟ في الانتايلمنت ما كتقالش في نفس الافراز. presupposition كنجبدوها في ذاك الافراز الاولى. Okay? When I tell you, imagine I am okay. I tell my friends in Agadir, when I arrive in Agadir, I will call you. When I arrive in Agadir next week, I will call you. What's the presupposition here? What's the information? The information is I will call them. But I presuppose that they know that I am traveling to Agadir next week. So that's the presupposition. What's the presupposition? It's the fact that I am travel to Agadir. Fine or not? Okay. Yeah, it's about assumptions. It's presuppose. It means suppose beforehand. Pre means before. Suppose means assume. So before I talk to you, I assume before I talk to you that you know that I have a brother. You see? Okay. His grandmother has just sent him an SMS. His grandmother has just sent him an SMS. The information is the fact that she has sent an SMS. It means she's not, she is okay. She sent an SMS. What's the presupposition? The presupposition is what? Is that he has a grandmother. Grandmother, I'm talking about grandmother. Okay? Has said, not necessarily. No, it's not said. It's not said there. So it's more likely to presuppose that what if she sent a message by someone else, or via someone else? You see, my grandmother or his grandmother sent a message implies, presupposition is visible in the sentence, from the first sentence. Look, something happens. I don't know whether it happens to you, my friends, or not. It happened to you once in your life, at least. And it happened to me. Look, just imagine, that sure. It happened to me, and by someone who, anyway, who is a dear friend, or who became a dear friend. One day he was talking to me like that, and he told me, I will take in Arabic قال لي نوصل المدام للخدمة ونرجع. And I told him, the presupposition is what? Is that he is married, because I knew that he was not married before. You see, it was a new. I said, you are married. So here the presupposition is wrong in this case. He wrongly presupposed that I know that he has a wife. Yeah, that he is married. You got the point or no? So you know what presupposition is? Presupposition can easily be detected, can be easily be inferred, can easily be derived from the sentence itself. And in fact, it's always from the sentence itself. Okay? Now, imagine I tell you, when I quit smoking, I felt better, much better. When I quit smoking, I felt much better. أمروس واش أمروس كيكمي واش كان كيكمي أمروس مثلا. When I say this, you got that or no? So I presuppose that you know that I used to smoke. This is a presupposing that it's used to smoke. That's true. Yeah. No. It's you used to smoke, not you are used to smoke. The expressions refer to two different things. Of course, I think it's just a typo there. We presuppose that you used to smoke. Akasi Said, you presuppose that I used to smoke. I'm just joking. Okay, so this is what presupposition is. Entailment, it's more of a logical implication. It's a logical implication. Whether you like it or not, it's an implication that is necessary. And you can't deny it. You can't suppress it. Okay? When you say my upstairs neighbor disturbs me, it means you most likely you are living in an apartment because you have an upstairs neighbor. That's the entailment. When you have a villa or you have a house of your own, you don't have an upstairs neighbor, etc. Okay? Well, so I think I have given enough examples of the difference between entailment and presupposition. Let me see if there are other questions here. Look at this important question. How can we identify a referring expression, especially since the same expression can be referring or non-referring depending on context? Example, a man. That's true. So that's true. Because a man, for example, this will depend on context. You are going to use context to see if the expression the man is a referring expression or not a referring expression. Not the man, a man here, but the man over there. The man, mostly it's a referring expression. But a man, sometimes it can be a referring expression, sometimes it cannot be a referring expression. For example, we can say, if you have something like a man should always live up to his promises. Here, this is generic. I am not referring to a specific man. So when I say a man in the generic sense of it, I am not, it's a non-referring expression. But when I say, as I was walking, a man, for example, bumped into me, a man here is a referring expression. So conclusion, here, yes, of course, we need contextual cues. Of course, we will refer to context and its different uses in semantics and pragmatics later on. But this is the answer to your question, my friend. So contextual cues can solve this problem. Does the use of the definite article versus the indefinite article affect whether an expression is referring? Again, you see the definite article. Again, it's like it's sometimes used generically. I will give you an example, and it's used, of course, specifically. Now, just imagine. I don't know if our friend who asked this question is with us here, but just imagine you have a cat at home. You have a cat at home, and you meet your sister or your brother just near your house, near the house, in the yard, for example. And when you tell him the cat has not eaten yet, is this referring or non-referring? Yes, because what your brother will understand is the cat you have at home. Have you fed the cat yet? A mom can tell her daughter. Okay, have you fed the cat yet? The cat yet? Oh, sorry, I forgot. And then, so here, the cat, is a referring expression. Yes. But in another context, I can tell you, for example, you talk about animals in general, and you can favor a dog, and I can favor a cat, and someone can favor a snake. Okay, I can tell you, look, the cat is a very cute animal. The cat is a very cute animal. In this sentence, the cat is not like the previous example, have you fed the cat? So here in the second example, the cat is a very nice animal. It's a general statement. Okay, it's a general statement that refers to cats in general, to the category. That's why we refer to it as generic. All in all, whether an expression can be referring or not, regardless of the use of the article. So we need contextual cues to determine its referential potential. Okay, for the arguments between entailment, I think the truth tables that we may not have enough time to deal with that today, nor enough energy. I have been working all the day today, and I had occasion to watch the famous match. But I spent the whole day working. A lot of work is waiting for me. A lot of tasks, a lot of activities, and I have to be in different cities next week, inshallah. And you have teaching, teaching sessions to finalize, to finish. We have sessions. And I'm really sorry for the performance if it's not really up to your expectations, my friends, especially the ones who asked me for a session. But your mistake is to have a session on semantics and pragmatics. We cannot do that, in one single session, ladies and gentlemen. So let me wait until I am contacted by our friends requesting a specific topic, and then we can do that. I will do my best to I think a group of students is waiting for syntax and morphology, but as I told you, we can still hold 2 live sessions, 1 hour here, 1 hour there. I think I will have enough energy, inshallah, to do that. So until then, I wish you all the best, my dear friends, and thank you for making this session marvelous. Thank you so much.